Vítám vás tedy na tiskové konferenci a prosím o první otázku. Agáta Pilátová.
Dobrý den, mě váš film velice zaujal a děkuji vám za něj. A chtěla jsem se zeptat, je to, no já bych to nazvala baladickou road movie. Chtěla jsem se zeptat, váš smutný hlavní hrdina je reálná postava. Kolik je v tom jeho jednání a v tom celém ději a v té cestě reality a kolik fikce?
First of all, thank you very much. So this is the story we told in the film. It's based on real events. We did quite a lot research with my screenwriter Roelof and Minneboo before starting working on this project. Mainly we following the line, real line, where how they went through this during these 50 days of last days of the main character, but of course there is some improvisations as well. Yeah, maybe Roelof can also tell something, add something.
Yes, the film is based on notes taken by one of the people who was present at this long journey. But the film is also infused with other stories from history. I mean, you could read Khibula as Golgotha. You could read it as Macbeth losing power. There's a lot of classical storytelling going on. But like George said, we followed the footsteps of the president. And this is pretty much the mainstay of the story, is the reality of what we think happened. Yeah.
Prosím o další otázku. Světlo mi svítí do očí, tak nevím, jestli opravdu se nikdo nehlásí. Pokud se nikdo nehlásí, tak bych se chtěl zeptat na jeden prvek toho filmu, a to jsou, řekněme, to jsou takové ty scény představ, nebo scény, které se vracejí jako refrén, kdy prezident prochází zimní krajinou. Chtěl jsem se pana režiséra zeptat na úlohu, jakou vlastně v systému toho, ve struktuře toho filmu tyhle sekvence mají.
So honestly, there is no this kind of scenes in the script. There was not. So during the shooting, we had some opportunity to find this kind of beautiful landscapes and the weather as it is there, and we decided to add some scenes, which finally I think helps us to go more deeper in a main character.
A ještě bych se tedy chtěl zeptat na tu velmi explicitní sexuální scénu, kterou v tom filmu také vidíme. Nebyl jsem si úplně jistý, jak si zda se jedná o reálný výjev, nebo zda se jedná také o scénu, řekněme, která se vztahuje k proudu vědomí prezidenta.
Yeah, this scene also is based on the real moment. There was this kind of moments during this trip, but it's not very important for me to follow this moment there or not. It was kind of, again, the scene which, again, helped me to explore more the main character. For me, it means that he's somehow going in a trip in himself. So, and there are kind of chaos, kind of betrayal, and all kind of things as it is in real life. So we just created different kind of situations to help the main character.
Tady je prosím dotaz.
There are a number of scenes where there is a crowd, sometimes only listening, but also a real scene where everybody is shouting Judas. Is this imaginary, and why is it Judas? This.
It's the Judah as when in the country started the movement against Gamsakhourdia, people were calling to him Judah as a traitor, and it was very well organized always, and this movement as a Judah movement, let's say like that, to call the president Judah, it was quite common that time. So I can imagine every day how he was hearing these words from outside, from the streets, when he was working in his office, so we somehow use this as a one of the line, as a to tell that he has some kind of this sin on his shoulder as well. But in reality, of course, I believe that he was not any kind of traitor.
Další otázku, prosím.
I would like to know a little bit better historical background. What does Gamsakhourdia promise to the people during the election, and what does the people miss? And who was following to him? What was the junta as a political position?
So as maybe you know, in 1991, the Georgia announced said independence right after the ruining down, collapsing the Soviet Union. Gamsakhourdia was the first legally elected president. He got almost 99% of votes from the nation. And he won he was a kind of a hero, hero who brought the freedom of the nation. But I think his mistake, of course, he did a kind of mistakes when he said that the country has to be the independent and country has to be the neutral, not to any other side. And immediately from both sides of the big power, started movements against him, because the small country geographically in the very important place says that we are not with any side. I mean, and right after he was elected. After 9 months, he was in power just during 9 months. He was there was organized military people who were armed by the Russian side, and after 9 months, the war, like civil war, started in Tbilisi, in the city, in December 1992. Tbilisi, yeah, in the capital city, and after 2 weeks of battles, he left the country. But the story not ends there. After a few months, he came back to the country, to western part of Georgia, he was somehow sure that he can get the power back, but when he came back, he saw that nobody around him, nobody. And then he decided to leave the town and went to the mountain with just a small crew of the supporters. But mainly what was his mistakes, I think, in my opinion, the mistakes was that his politic in that time was completely wrong. Because the country, Georgia, a small country as it is, it never could be as a neutral country in this geographical region. Roelof, maybe you want to add something?
The interesting thing is that Khamsa was a Shakespeare specialist. He was a poet. And he came into power because the leader of the movement died in a car accident. So I think for some reason he was unfit in certain skills to lead this very complicated secession from the Soviet Union. He tried very hard, and he was a very spiritual character. And like George said, he made grave mistakes. And he set out on this journey of truly wanting to liberate his people. And of course, power corrupts. And he caught himself in a fate that he could not turn around. So, yes, politically it's interesting to see what happened after the fall of the Soviet Union, because there have been lots of states who went through through similar processes. But in this case, it became a story where, for instance, calling him Judas is really interesting, because he was really extremely popular. And there have been a lot of powers that made sure that the people were divided in their ideas of the future of the country. And that's something that George has explored in 3 stories now. And I think, yeah, the state the world is in right now, it's still really interesting to see how leaders deal with responsibility, deal with the future, and deal with their own vulnerability. And I think that's what we wanted to tell in this story. In a way, I think, somehow.
Děkuji a prosím, tam je další otázka.
No, I wanted to ask the actress if it was easy for her to relate to this film, which actually took place when she was probably very little or even not born yet.
Could you please repeat the question?
If it was easy for you to relate to the story, because it was an old story, you were probably not even born at the time, so could you relate to that or understand the history?
Actually, it was not really hard because we had very great group. Everyone explained to me everything, and it was very easy. I don't know what to say more.
I have another story, not for the actress this time. For me, the film was a lot about the cultural and the natural heritage of Georgia, with the singing, speaking about the singing and dancing, and about all the scenes from the mountains. So, was it the aim to show the heritage, or should it be just a background of the film, and the biggest aim was like to show the political issue?
So, in my opinion, we used all these songs and dances as a kind of background of the story, but also the part of the life of our main character from where he is and what is from where he's coming, to show from where the story comes as well. What is the soul in a country, in a society around him? What was there?
I think that if you want to make a truly universal story, you should delve really deep into the culture of the story that has given birth to this everything. So, and in Georgia, you can't go around the landscape, the music and the dancing. So it is there not just to add color to the story, but it's an important part of life in Georgia, and so it's an important part of the film.
Yeah, it's a part of life.
Yeah.
You can't escape this moment. You know,
Yep.
if you wanna tell this kind of story about the country, about the people, so it's in.
Prosím další otázka.
I would like to know how this film will be received in Georgia, in the political landscape of Georgia today. Has it already been shown, and how will it be perceived concerning the personage of Gamsakuria?
Thank you. It's really interesting for me as well. We're waiting. In September, we will have a Georgian premiere screening. We are worrying a bit because we know the situation. A lot of people already contacting to us, and some of them, of course, even nobody's watched the film. And some of them, of course, they are quite aggressive, because there are the people who till now doesn't want to touch this subject, because the subject is really, all the time the subject was somehow the trying to hide the subject and not to talk about this subject. It was during all these 25 years, and always my impression was that, because I'm working on this subject more than 10, 15 years, it's in my mind, but I was all the time thinking that there is not time yet to tell this story. But finally, 5 years before, or even 6, 7 years before, me and Roelof started kind of exploring and researching the story, I had the impression that might be the time is coming to tell loudly this story, to give the questions. And I was lucky that after many trying, I got support from the government, financial support, because the subject was blocked few times. We were trying to get the finance, but it was always blocked because of the subject. But even film is done now, and it's financed now, it's really hard to say how it will be received by Georgian audience. I think it would be quite complicated, controversial, for sure, yeah.
Yes, I would have asked before, because my question goes in the same, more or less the same direction. How would you consider this film? Is it, are you taking sides, or is it more like a documentary fiction? Things like that, because I was never quite sure. Watching your film, I went to some sources like the internet and checked out a little more about the time of, when your film takes part. And then what I learned was that Eduard Shevardnadze was one of the followers. And to me, and I think for us, Eduard Shevardnadze is one of the good guys. And so I wasn't quite sure, what side are you on? Are you taking sides, or is it, like I said, a documentary kind of fiction?
So for me, it's drama. It's not documentary drama or a biographical film or political film. It's a human drama for me. For me, it was most important to tell the story about the man who had the power, who lost the power, and who started to find out the reality, to start exploring inner world, to start the traveling in himself. I mean, the story there. It's for me is a more the adventure, inner adventure of the main character, not the adventure as we see on a screen. But about Shevardnadze, of course, his troops were following those people. We never show the followers there. It was one of our main principles to not show the followers at all. And in the reality, it was the same. They never saw the followers, but they felt the followers all the time during their trip, during these 50 days. But it was kind of psychological pushing to the main character to bring him till his own end, because what was the best option for Shevardnadze, if we say Shevardnadze like as a government in this moment, because when Gamsakhulia was alive, he was always the problem with the government, because he was legally elected president. He never said that I'm not anymore the president. He just was kicked out. He came back. So the followers wanted him to bring him till the end. They could catch him any moment. They could kill him any moment, but it was politically was not good for them. But when I started working on this subject, I started just because I felt that I'm not the side. Yeah, this was my main principal moment then when I understood that I'm not the side. Yeah, because I'm not searching who is the right, who is the wrong there. I'm just telling the story, and I'm just asking the question and not giving the answers because I don't know the answers.
Máme tady taky producenty filmu, je tady pan Guillaume Desey, pan Aike Gorecka. Chtěl bych se obou producentů zeptat, jak se vlastně dostali k této látce a co je na té látce zaujalo a v čem byly případně problémy při realizaci tohoto velmi výjimečného díla.
As you like. I can start, you can start. So we came across the project, of course, because of Corn Island, because we've been also involved in Corn Island, and after the success of Corn Island, it was very clear we will do the next film with George. But the truth is that George approached me and you, of course, before with the Khibula project, and that's how we met. We met because of the Khibula project, which didn't get along quite well at that moment, and then later we could make it. So it was planned to do first Khibula, and then probably Corn Island, and it came the other way around. And what attracted us to the project, it's the real... so for me it was the idea of power. When does someone has power? And the beautiful thing about the film and the script was that you see that power is something, it is given to you. It's nothing you inherit like a cloak or something. It's so he was elected the president 9 months before with 99%, And when he goes back in his country and tries to find people who are on his side, he finds no one really. So he finds some people, yeah, they follow him, his followers, but there is no real power anymore. So, and is power a disillusion? Probably he gets he follows an illusion of himself, and that's very nice. Also with the biblical thing, because when we think of Jesus Christ's passion, does he really? You know, you have to believe in it first of all, and then later people decide if this is the truth or not. So this very complex thing about power, when someone has power, politicians, and at the moment I think in Europe we see that a lot of people don't have really power, or they're losing power. So that was the main thing for us.
Okay, I have a bit of a different answer, but still very close, and a couple of things I wanted to develop. The main attraction for me, and I know George since the short film, that's the time we met, so we've been doing 3 films already together, is that basically as long as he's staying authentic and cinematic, I would go anywhere with him, and he's completely doing this, so we're getting more and more friends even. And he's also a guy attracted to challenges, and he doesn't want the easy stuff, definitely. And this is something that us, producers involved in non-domestic films that much, I'm French, Eke and Christophe and Alexander are Germans, we like these kind of challenges. And just to give you a couple of anecdotes, George and Roelof followed the journey of the president, so they spent a couple of weeks doing the trip, and then when it was about to shoot the film, George decided again, but probably for the last time still, to shoot in 35 millimeters, which in the countryside of Georgia, when it's about rain and snow, it's not easy. And actually the way to transport the whole crew and equipment is pretty much the truck that you see in the beginning of the film. So this is the kind of life experience that George wants to live every 2 years, basically. And we probably are as crazy as he is. We want to help him.
Děkuji. Prosím další otázka. Tamhle, prosím.
Oh yeah, I just want to say a word about the love of cinema also that no one mentioned, but it was very close to lots of discussion we were having. He has a cinematic signature very specific that at some point we need to address also, and that we very much respect and love, that comes both from a classical Georgian, Russian, Soviet, George, culture and background, dealing with the hard political, historical topics of Georgia of yesterday, but that had reflections also today, which brings also back the question of the release in Georgia soon. And this is politically and artistically something we care very much about also.
Prosím otázku.
Já bych se chtěla zeptat pana režiséra, vy už jste tady jednou ocenění získal, pomohlo vám to nějak ve vašem dalším tvoření, v další kariéře? Bylo to nějaký, jako, v čem to je teď lepší?
Otázka směřuje k ocenění křišťálovým globem za Kukuřičný ostrov.
Yeah, definitely. It helped me because I'm here again. It's nice. It was really nice, of course. And now, after the Crystal Globe, I feel here as at home.
Další otázka zde v první řadě, prosím.
There is a moment when Kamsakhoudia is reading the Bible. He takes with him the Bible. So, my question to you is, what was the relationship of Kamsakhoudia within the Georgian Orthodox Church, or what kind of support or not of support he had from the church, from Patriarch Lidia, for instance?
from Orthodox Church. I mean, as I know, at the end he did not have support from Orthodox Church. When he left city, the Tbilisi town after the civil war. As I know, Church was somehow happy that the president left. This is what I know. But he was really, he believed God. We know that. He was praying every day. We know that from the followers. And he was quite really religious man. That's why it's always big question that this kind of person never will kill himself. That's why this question always asking that he was really religious man.
Vážení přátelé, čas naší tiskové konference se naplňuje, takže pokud má ještě někdo poslední otázku, prosím o poslední otázku. Není-li tomu tak, já bych tedy ještě položil poslední otázku. Prezident v tom filmu je, i když je v horách, i když je na cestě, tak má vlastně bílou košili, má vázanku. Skutečně to tak bylo? Byla to snaha prezidenta zachovat si svoji důstojnost svého úřadu i v těchto extrémních podmínkách?
Yeah, it was exactly like that. As we know, he was every day like in an office, even in these very extreme hard moments of their trip, and he was all the time in good shape.
Děkuji. Děkuji, vážení přátelé, děkuji vám za vaše otázky, děkuji delegaci k filmu Khibula a přeji úspěch filmu Khibula na Karlovarském festivalu.